Welcome to another edition of Expert Talks here on Kalkine TV. I'm Sage. Today's guest is Rajiv Bongirwar, CEO and founder of Hemraj Consulting. And the Australian space industry just last week had some big news with the opening of the new Wolfpack Space Hub in Chippendale, Sydney. And our guest, Hemraj Consulting, is a group of global experts working in the automotive and aerospace industries, designing functional safety breakthroughs thanks to their proprietary 5-step system. They enable automotive and aerospace original equipment manufacturers, suppliers plus more. And here to help us understand the advancements in the industry and the role Hemraj Consulting plays in the space industry is CEO and founder Rajiv Bongirwar. Welcome to the show, Rajiv.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So glad to have you with us today. Can we get started with hearing your insights, talking us in detail about your proprietary 5-step system? Let's jump straight in.
Yeah, sure. We work with the C-suite of automotive manufacturers, tier 1 suppliers, startups, and we understand the strategy, what they want to achieve at the organizational level and product level. So that's step one, is really understand what they want to achieve. And we then do an analysis of what is their current situation and where they want to be. So that's step one. Having done that, the next step is we then discuss with different departments and talk to professionals and kind of have a mapping of the organization structure and their product development processes. And then we help them with a roadmap of how to really get to where they want to get to from where they are today. Having that roadmap agreed, the next step is really working with the team, being a coach and a mentor, and guiding them through the execution of the strategy, which is key to delivering and getting the results that have been planned. In this process, we work with create selfless, autonomous teams that are empowered, resilient, and able to take their own decisions and responsibilities and create extraordinary results from ordinary people by working through extraordinary teamwork.
Thank you so
last
much.
but not the least is we are coaching and mentoring the team and fulfilling the skill gaps that they have so that we work with them through the delivery of the production vehicle projects.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to the circle of what's the next product line, and we repeat the circle. So we start all over again. It's like the S-curve, starting off with a brand new S-curve. And this applies throughout the product development cycle.
So you basically incubate projects from concept right through to delivery, forming and storming the teams in the meantime.
Yeah.
In your process of collaboration. That sounds amazing. Sounds like a lot of work there, but a lot of exciting projects must come your way. So in your opinion, Rajiv, how should suppliers ensure to have sustainable, safe and compliant products?
So that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. The automotive industry is going through 3 major challenges. First, the need of the market, there are 3 drivers, starting with safety. So we have 1.3 million people dying every year in road accidents. And there are a lot of efforts worldwide, one of them being 50 by 30 to halve the number of people killed in road accidents. Second, all you are aware is the climate change, sustainability goals and the net zero carbon emission targets from the Paris Agreement. So we need to get to a 1.5 degree raise of the Earth temperature, and it's not going to be easy. The recent summit we had in Glasgow is only made it clear that we have to do much more than what we have been doing, and we have to catch up. So sustainable means of transportation, be it electric vehicles, hydrogen fuel cells, this is the need of the hour. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, what we have really seen is we have had to have vehicles delivering goods without any human drivers because of the lockdown. And all these three challenges, the answer to this is existing today in technology, which is ACES, or automated, autonomous, connected, electrified, sustainable transportation. And with the challenges, while the technology is able to address these challenges, it also comes with its own pitfalls or risks, because we are increasing layers of automation in the automobile. Today, the car is defined by the software and the electronic control units in it, rather than the mechanical or electrical components 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that's causing potentially exponential opportunities of failure. And we have seen in 2021 the recent recall report in the Society of Automotive Analysts, which was conducted day before yesterday. In 2021, there were 400 vehicle recalls, much more than any of the previous years. So we are seeing a trend of more number of unique recalls with lesser number of vehicles, which is more number of complexities, more features, and more variants, and more opportunities of failure. So to be able to be compliant, the first thing we need to do is to identify the risk and mitigate them in the beginning, and have that risk mitigation in the product design, which is the ideal scenario for new product development, for which we need to have not just the current state of the art, but research new risk assessment frameworks and techniques which can identify much more hazards and the causes of their occurrence, so that then the mitigation actions can be designed in the product. It is also applicable to products which are being upgraded, because we are not going to have all products completely new. And that also means that with these new changes in the products, with the new features, we need to be able to identify what could be the malfunctions in electronics and software. For example, over 1 million Honda cars and almost 500,000 Tesla vehicles, there was a safety investigation launched by US NHTSA on phantom braking, or these vehicles were applying emergency brakes when the vehicle was speeding on motorways or highways at high speeds, which is extremely can result in extremely fatal accidents. So one is the need for the risk assessment frameworks. On the second front, there are standards and there are regulations. The UNECE WB29, functional safety standards, ISO 26262, or UL SAE ANSI 4600 for the safety of evaluation of autonomous vehicles. So it's very important that manufacturers and suppliers understand the spirit of these standards and actually integrate them in the product development process, which help them then to comply with the regulations and come up with a safe, reliable, and compliant product.
Thank you very much for your insights. And that's so true about getting that AI technology that's involved in the self-driving vehicles ready before it's put on the road, because, as you say, it's causing many fatal accidents. Thank you for the facts there and the stats. Astounding. And apparently India is a world leader in LiDAR and sensor technology. Is that correct? And that plays a big part in these AI vehicles?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So at Hemraj Consulting, how do you assist clients in understanding applicable safety standards, and how can these apply to the products that are in development?
So I'll give an example of a consulting assignment with Volvo Group Truck Technologies, which is a part of Volvo Group, and it's unique because it's close to 8,000 engineers located globally, and it supports the engineering of the complete Volvo group. So the trucks, special purpose machinery, marine equipment. And I was responsible for the safety of all the cabin electronics. So the human truck interface, everything to do in the driver's cabin, all the features with a drive that the driver interacts with for their brands globally, based in USA, Europe, Asia, Japan. And what I was able to do was to work with the feature owners who are actually designing the vehicle features at a vehicle level, work with the electrical and electronics and software development department, and work with the teams located in the US, France, globally. And we came with kind of, first of all, within the Volvo group is the different departments. What's the RASIC, or what's the responsibility and handover within the departments, within Volvo group, within the Volvo trucks, within the OEM itself? Because with electronics and software becoming a major part of the vehicle, if you look at cabin design, traditionally purely mechanical intensive discipline, but with now the integration of human machine interface, electronics and software and controls, you need much more diverse skill set to design a cabin. So getting to work with different departments with different skill sets and having a common framework, setting workshops in the US and France, in working a way of working in across the departments, and then also similar workshops with suppliers or prospect suppliers, even in the RFQ phase, and we are in a trending process in helping the suppliers understand what really are the requirements, what would be the way of working, and when also with existing suppliers and ongoing projects. So what that helps us evolve is kind of have a framework of actual way of working, and in that process, what we realized was that quite a few of the processes which were written were great, but when it really comes to applying those processes in real world vehicle programs and complying with the standards, there were quite a few implementation glitches, and that had to be ironed out with practical experience from previous Hemraj Consulting had what customers like Jaguar Land Rover, Ford Motor Company, Bob Warner. We had helped them with launching latest technology products in the fastest possible time frame. For example, in Ford Motor Company launched the first, we helped in the launching of the first vehicle, which implemented the Bosch e-gas technology, which is the 3 levels of dependability for preventing unintended acceleration as one of its key goals. So it is not just the theoretical standards, understanding of the standards and understanding how to apply them, but it's also working with different departments, cross-functional departments, and understanding the way they work, or the way they historically have been working, understand what are the changes to adapt to the technology that is being delivered, and come up with a homogeneous methodology that allows teams to work together in a seamless fashion, and like you run in a race, hand the baton over from one to the other smoothly in both directions.
Sounds like a very big product and expensive as well. So amazing that you are able to provide some solutions to this, because trucks are one of the most dangerous things on the road. Thank you so much, Rajiv. So thank you for your insights here. There's a lot that you're relaying to us in this short time, but could you please elaborate on the proprietary state-of-the-art analysis and risk assessment techniques?
Yeah, sure. So, failure mode effects analysis, fault tree analysis, event tree analysis, bow tie, layers of protection analysis. are some of the techniques that I'm mentioning, which are conventional and have been in use since 1960s. So when ENIAC was evolved, and with Moore's law, the complexity and the scale of electronics is exponentially increasing. And so those techniques which have been evolved in the 60s and 70s at the latest are now no longer able to cope with the complexity and the number of interactions that are happening in 10 million lines of code in 100 plus electronic control units in an average car today. So MIT of USA, Professor Nancy Levison and John Thomas, since 2004 have come up with a new technique, which is STPA, or Systems Theoretic Process Analysis, based on a control structure, and it's brought a systems thinking approach of how a problem is considered as a control problem rather than as a component failure. If I take you 10 years back, component failures were a big reason for many of the accidents or vehicle recalls that were happening. Electronic components, diodes, the Takata airbag recall is quite known. It's probably one of the most single component that has been responsible for the maximum number of vehicle recalls from 1980s onwards. So what therefore is required is a way to handle not just components that can fail and cause hazards to occur, but also incorrect interaction between components. A $1.2 billion geostationary satellite was lost, and with the later analysis it was found that all the software components were working perfectly fine and were validated and tested and found to be correct. What issues were at the boundary, where the interactions of the data sets we used for validation were no longer valid in the actual use when the spacecraft was launched. So STPA allows you to have a control structure and identify more hazards than the conventional techniques were able to do. And it has been used in the industry since 2004. So if you look at 2004 to now, it's kind of 18 years. But really, if this technique alone was good enough, then we would have expected a substantial reduction in the vehicle recall rate. But we don't see the statistics correlating with that. So obviously, and in 3 years ago, when I attended a STAMP workshop at MIT with over 2,500 attendees from 173 countries who attended, one simple example they said in the challenges of applying this technique was, it is not very ubiquitously used in the automotive. There are definitely increasing usage of this technique. But one of the simple barriers, shall I say, was simple thing as terminology. The terminology used in the technique was not something that was most practitioners or professionals in their day job were able to correlate with. And this is just one example. So I have actually done some work in this area and, done some original work. And based on our past experience, we have come up with some improvisations which build on the great work that has been done. And we extend that even further because, we are integrating it with the life cycle products that are already in existence. So we have kind of had some improvisations of this technique based on our experience, and we have actually applied that and found some excellent results as well already. So we are working on even collaborating with some leading academic organizations and working to identify and partner with them so that we can do joint research and even extend the work that we have done and work with academia so that the academy industry collaboration can come up with a framework which which is pushing the boundary of the current state of art and helps to maximize the identification of hazards, which then allows you to build in the mitigation in the design and be proactive and prevent hazards from occurring.
Sounds like a lot of work is involved there. So it'll be interesting to hear whether you yourself would drive a self-driving vehicle. Do you think the technology is ready? Would you yourself buy one and start using it?
I'm not sure it is ready today and now. I think a lot of work is being done in the UK, in Australia, in USA, and around the world. And at the same time, a lot needs to be done. And also, I think it's the culture, the safety culture, the transparency that the manufacturers have with the public, with the end users, and it's important that they build that trust. And a lot of the things that we see today, which we see on the road, need to be identified upfront and have design mitigation. Because when you just rely on testing and verification and validation alone, testing is not proving the absence of errors. It can only prove their presence and if they have been fixed or not. But whatever amount of testing you do, it's not going to confirm that the product is safe or it doesn't have any errors. So hence the importance of the proactive analysis techniques and risk assessment frameworks, which can uncover these issues at the design stage and help you build in mitigations and make the product safe and minimize your risk.
Thank you. So to finish up the discussion, what are your objectives for Hemraj Consulting, Rajiv, for the year 2022?
So 2022, we intend to have a paradigm shift from pure consulting services to also a product-based software house. What we are keen to do is to leverage the techniques we have developed and the experience we have in electronics and software malfunction avoidance, encapsulate and work with academic partners in doing some joint research and coming up with this framework and encapsulate that with our industrial experience and techniques, so that we can help the professionals and the community to rely less on safety consultants, because as you know, it's safety consultants don't grow on trees and they're very few to find. It's a major challenge for the automotive industry to find safety professionals. So if we are able to give the industry a product that can not replace but augment and help at least significant extent the initial work that can be done is available through application of the product, that helps us to have a wider reach and allow whatever knowledge that we have and the experience we have learned, we're able to share with a much wider customer base and help them benefit, and therefore we are able to have a much bigger and better impact on making the cars safe on the road.
Thank you, Rajiv. It's such an exciting space to watch, and your work is so important as this technology is emerging and getting more heavily adopted. But I think self-driving cars by Tesla are still in the beta stage, so there's a long way to go. As you're saying, there's many things that still need to be investigated into. Thank you so much for being available for Expert Talks. We do appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much, and a pleasure, and thank you once again for having me.
Yes, so nice to connect. Now, if you just joined us, we had a very informative discussion with the expert Rajiv Bongirwar, CEO, founder of Hemraj Consulting. For the full interview, please go to Kalkine Media's YouTube channel and keep watching for more of these live expert talks and market insights. Till the next episode, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine Media.